What's the name, my people? You know it is the Don, Tony, Teflon. I am in the building rocking with you on the Iron Throne as always. Well, I haven't been on the Iron Throne in a long time because there has not been any Game of Thrones or Westeros news to talk about, but there has been something that came out with George R. R. Martin, and I just wanted to talk about it real quick with y'all. As many people do know, maybe some people don't know, I made my chops on YouTube doing Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. And, then I haven't done it in a while and stuff because I always said that I did not want to do it unless I got the new book, The Winds of Winter, because I have talked about every theory that I see people posting nowadays. I've already come up with these theories 9 years ago, and these people are now just copying the stuff I said. So it's like, it makes no sense for the Don to do that. It just doesn't really make me happy to have to recap things I've already said and stuff. You know what I mean? But we do have some news from George R. R. Martin, disappointing news, but news that I have said would come, and this was the way it was going to be. And I'm going to discuss it with you and show you everything that I've seen. And then Phil should be joining me soon enough, you know what I mean? And when he gets in, and he'll give his opinion on this whole situation. But before we do, let me say what up to people in the chat right now. What up, the supporting game? It's been years. It has been a little while since I've been doing this. It has been. BX, what's going on? What's going on with you? Julie B, what's going on with you? My man Stonicky Boy is up in this piece rocking us. Wolf Spear is in the building rocking with us right now. Jay Sleek is in the building. Big E is up in here rocking with us. Rose Jones is in here rocking with us. My man Vince Harper is up in here right now, and we got Kelly Johnson, my brother from another mother, is up in here right now. Brand the bearder is up in here rocking with us. What is going on? I'm so happy to see all of you people. Tanya Nicholson, the children of Forest of Evil. You goddamn right about that. I will be doing more A Song of Ice and Fire content with my boy Mace the Pain. We'll probably jump that off this week and everything else, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to do that. But let me just pull up right now exactly the statement and why I feel that basically Winds of Winter is never going to come out ever. And I think that George has basically said this here in this. Can I get that a little bit bigger? Can we figure this out here? All right, there we go. We can throw it up there like that. Let me just go to the thing. Now, this is from the Westerosi on Twitter, and he says, George R. R. Martin addresses the criticism he has faced, the untrue perception on how he spends his time, and outrage regarding the Winds of Winter in a new blog post. So this is all his stuff that he's taken from George's blog post. I probably should have just pulled the post up myself, but why do that when we have this right now? It says, and this is in quotes, some of you will be pissed off by this, as you are by everything I announce here that is not about Westeros or the Winds of Winter. You have given up on me, on the book. I will never finish Winds. If I do, and he put Winds in capital, I will never finish Winds. If I do, I will never finish A Dream of Spring. If I do, it won't be any good. I ought to get some other writer to pinch hit for me. I'm going to die soon anyway because I am so old. I lost all interest in A Song of Ice and Fire decades ago. I don't give a shit about writing any longer. I just sit around spending my money. Now, I think he's trying to be facetious here, right? I think he's trying to be, like, oh, this is what you think that I think. Like, I think he's saying, oh, you think that, oh, I just sit around, I just spend all my money and everything else. I'm too old and I'm never going to get it done and everything else. But I do think that he's actually telling the truth on a lot of this too. I do think that he knows that he has lost some interest here in Winds of Winter and Westeros. Now, I will go back and read some more real quick, but I do think he has lost interest, and it wouldn't be the first person who's done it. And I do think he is spent a lot of money. And I do think he knows he is old. And I do 100% believe that there is no chance that he will get, if he does get done with wins, that there's no way he's ever going to get Dream of Spring out. It's just not happening. And I think that when it's going down, it really comes down to that the ending of Game of Thrones is how he plans on ending the book. And that got hit with such hard, bad response that he's like, why am I going to do it? No one liked it anyway, right? Because you got to look at it. When, like, what, season 2 came out, he had already done his last book. Like, he was so far ahead of the game that everything that got exposed in Game of Thrones, he had a chance to expose them first in his book. But he never got around to doing it because he just got, whether it was, and listen, I believe that he's right. He did get caught up spending money. He did get caught up just chilling out there with the dough and having fun hanging out with the dough and spending money, because he ain't never had no money like that. He made money doing his books, but he was never rich like that. This is a different level of richness, right? And everything. And also a different level of fame. Because as you've seen, when that Game of Thrones was hitting, he was on Jay Leno's show. He was on David Letterman's show. He was everywhere, right? So he was living his 15 minutes or so minutes of fame. He had already done stuff, Beauty and the Beast and everything. But he's never, ever had a chance to, have fame like he had at that particular time. He's gone to cons and everything else and all that stuff. But this is basically, he's saying exactly what we know. He's saying, what up to Beef and Birdie in here right now? He was just saying everything we've been saying about him, and that's what he said. And I agree that that's what he's trying to say. But I do believe that there's also truth in all this stuff. I do believe there's truth. Let me pull it up. Let's pull it up again. Let's pull it up again. So, and we'll keep reading and everything else. But yeah, I do believe that he's saying stuff thinking that this is what people are saying about him. But I do believe that there's truth in this, what he's saying. Like, oh, let's go back. So you have given up on me or on the book. So obviously he's talking to people, to the fans at that particular time. I will never finish Wins. If I do, I will never finish Dream of Springs. If I do, it won't be any good. I ought to get some other writer to pinch hit for me. I am going to die soon anyways because I am so old. I have lost all interest in the Song of Ice and Fire decades ago. I don't give a shit about writing any longer. I just sit around and spend my money. I edit the wild card books too, but you hate wild cards. You may hate everything else I have ever written. The Hugo winners and Hugo losers, A Song for Lyre and Dying of the Light, Sand Kings and Beauty and the Beast, this Tower of Ashes and the Stone City, Old Mars and Old Venus, Rogues and Warriors and Dangerous Women, and all the other anthologies I've edited with my friend Gardner Dozier, whatever, I can't say. You don't care about any of those. I know. You don't care about anything but Winds of Winter. You told me so often enough. Thing is, I do care about them. And I care about Westeros and Winds as well. The Starks and Lannisters and Targaryens, Tyrion and Ashaya, Dany and Daenerys, the dragons and direwolves. I care about them all more than you can ever imagine. So when he's talking this shit about people not liking his stuff, he's 100% saying this. Like, I don't think he's just saying this like in passing. I think he knows that no one cares about all these other books that he has written, books that have won awards. And I think he's mad about that. And why wouldn't someone be mad about that? He is defined by this one book. But in the end with him, he has done so much more. So he's probably just like, man, I've done a lot of other things, but all y'all people want is wins. Y'all don't care about the other things that I've written. Y'all don't care about all these things I've done. So I think he's going back and forth. Sometimes he's talking like this is what fans are telling him, and sometimes he's talking to the fans themselves. But I do think that there's truth in all the statements that he's saying. I do think that he is on to other things, even though he cares about them. And again, you can care about something. You can care about wins. You can care about the Starks and the Lannisters and the Targaryens. You can care about all that stuff. It makes you your mind. Of course you can care about it. Doesn't mean you're motivated to write it. Doesn't mean that that's what you want to do at this particular time in your life. Because it's already been seen on TV. It's already done. What new secrets are you getting? Listen, you're going to get the Victorian chapters. You're going to get a Better Dawn story. You're going to get, everything going on with Aegon and Fagon, whatever you want to call them. There's a lot of other threads that are there. But as I've said, when the show first came out, if they ain't on the show, then their storyline is going to amount to shit in the end. Because if it was that important, they would put them in the show because that's what the show would do. So regardless of all those characters that we all like and everything else, it's not going to end anywhere but what we've seen. It's not going to prevent the ending of what we have seen. In the show whatsoever. You know what I mean? So I think that he's ranting, but he's putting some truth in there also. You know what I mean? This screen rant came out about 6 days ago. Yeah, listen, I just seen it today. So, but I do believe he did do it. I don't think this guy just made this shit up and put it on there and stuff and everything else. What's going on, Glue Guns and Roses? Glad to see you back. I haven't seen you in a little while. Vince Harper says George R. R. Martin needs to listen to the OJs. Got to give the people what they want. 100%. That's what someone hacked. I don't know if someone hacked his account. It says I firmly believe what we got on screen is what George R. R. Martin intended anyway. 100%. I believe that too. I think that the story that we got. Listen, and I told people were like, "Yo, Teflon, this is not going to be the same ending. He's going to hold back." You can't do that. Not when someone pays you $20-30 million. When someone pays you that much money, you got to give them the book. You can't give them a fake ending and then have a different ending in your book and say, "Oh, well, it's different." You can't. They're paying you for the ending. They're paying you for it. All the hold the door stuff that's happened. Was Shireen getting burnt? That's happened. Now, whether Stannis burns Shireen or not is a different situation. But will Shireen get burnt? Yes, she's definitely getting burnt. Will Hodor hold the door mean Hodor? 100%. That's the way it's going to go down. Will Stannis die and wins? 100% Stannis is going to die in there. That's the way it's going to go down. There's no way around that stuff. You can't just come out and say all these things because you didn't like it. It's going to be different. In the end, Bran's going to wind up on the fucking Iron Throne. That's it. That's the way it goes. I don't think Arya kills the Night King. I think if Jon Snow will be about the Night King killing, and that was because Dan and Dave said specifically that they thought that Jon Snow and the Night King was too predictable, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to put their own spin on it. So because they said that, without a shadow of a doubt, we know that that's going to be different. We know the Night King just ain't gonna fucking run away from fucking Jon Snow and never have a chance to pull his sword out in the whole fucking battle, right? That's not gonna happen. That's what happened in the show, which was stupid, right? which was done. You know what I mean? So I don't think we'll get that. So I do believe he's talking a little tongue in cheek in this post, but I do believe that there is some fact to it. Now, he could surprise everybody and put this post out and say, "Psych, the book's coming out next week." And I would love to see it come out next week. I would love to see it. You know what I mean? I would love for it to be, that he's just playing games and you get the book next week. That'd be fine. But again, is he talking tongue in cheek? There's a good chance he is. But is he talking facts too? 100%. 100%. Because, yeah, he cares about those things. I'm sure he cares about those things. but he also cares about the other things that he's mentioned in there that no one seems to, of the fandom seems to care about. And I think it hurts his feelings that no one likes these other things, because he likes these other things. Because the story's already over. It's done. When we know what's going to happen. We know it's all done. You know what I mean? It's a wrap. It's a wrap for that. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it is. What do you think he is getting stuck on? I think that whole Danny situation and Victorian, I think all that stuff, I think he's stuck on that right now. I think he's having a hard time piecing all that together and making it flow the way he wants to. I think he has it in his head how he wants it to go, but for some reason it's holding him up and he can't get it down on the paper the way he wants to get it down on the paper and everything, because it's such a big book series. There's so many characters. There's so many things. In order for this guy to actually do all the things he needs to do with all these characters, I said from the beginning he could not do it in 2 books. That there would have to be another book after that, A Dream of Spring. He would have to do it. It's just too much to wrap up. There's no way he could wrap it up. I just don't see how it would be possible. Thank you for the super chat. That nerdy RPG gamer. Robert Jordan wrote 10 books in the time George R. R. Martin wrote 3. Brandon Sanderson wrote 5 books during COVID. George R. R. Martin has no excuse to have that. 100%. I agree with you. Unless he just doesn't want to do it. And we have to take that into account. That he just may not be into it. You know what I mean? Yeah, side note, go read my book. You want a book to read? Go read my book, goddammit. My book is out there. It's done. You can go read it. And part 2 of that book will be out way before George gets wings out. I promise you. Thank you for the gifted membership, Doc. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I really appreciate that. But yeah, I just don't think his heart. I think his heart would be more into Dunk and Egg. I think his heart would be more into Fire and Blood, because these are things that no one knows about, that he can just make up and it goes, and they're probably easier stories to write than this. Because no matter what anybody says, when you give people 15 or so years to speculate on your book, a lot of that shit people got to be right. There ain't no way everybody was wrong there, right? It's no way. It's not possible that everyone got everything wrong. No, people got a lot of shit right. And then you got to see it all on television. So when you add those 2 things up, he's probably just like, why do those stories? Everyone knows what it's going to be. When I can do news stories, I can do, the Dunk and Egg novellas. And no one knows that story at all. And I can make it up the way I want to make it up. And I can just knock those out. And the show is coming out for that series. So I can write that and have inspiration to write that, so that the next couple of seasons of the show can come out. It's easy. I can do the Fire and Blood book. The second part. That's the first part, was this part 1. I can do the second part of the Fire and Blood book because he knows he has the House of the Dragon show out there. All right, so he can do those things. All this other stuff that he's trying to do, everybody already knows. We all know it. You know the story as well as I do. You know what's going to happen. John's going to kill Danny. And you don't need George R. R. Martin to tell you that, or the show to tell you that. I made that video like 9 years ago, that John kills Danny. And I gave you the chapter in the book that proves it when I made that video. I told you the children of Forest were evil little bastards, and they are. I told you these things. And I'm telling you, and you can look at it, Euron, listen, and it's going to be some things going on there with Euron. And if Euron was that important, he would have been in the show. That's what, that's why they merged. I mean, Victorian. That's why they merged some of his stuff with Euron instead of doing that stuff. You know what I mean? In all this situation. So, this is what it is, man. And I'm sure a lot of people A lot of other YouTubers have got a lot of things right too that will come out, and that's just the bottom line, And again, the man at a late age in life, right? Not an early age in life, got a tremendous amount of fame that he probably always wished he could achieve. Because when you're a writer, right? When you're a writer, usually you're in the background, right? You write for stuff. The stars are the stars. You write for the stars. So usually that's what it is. There are very few, Stephen King who transcend their books and become really mega superstars. Not many of them, right? Robin Hobbs, J.K. Rowling's. He got that. Stephen King had that shit in the 70s, right? He just got that and just started experiencing that. Just started to experience to get asked to all these talk shows. Just got the experience to go all over to these cons, and he's wanted and sign all these autographs and everything else. Thank you, John Haymaker, for the gift of membership, for all that stuff, right? He just got that so late in life when all his other peers have already gotten that stuff. Why wouldn't he want to eat that up? Why wouldn't he be anything else? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't he just want to do the talk show and take his bow for all the hard work he's put in all the years? Why wouldn't he want to take a bow? And it's easy to get caught up in that shit, no matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. When you get fame, it's easy. People tell you fame is the most addictive drug in the world. There's nothing more addicted than fame, because once you get fame, you don't never want to let it go. And when you're getting invited to all the cool kids' parties and you're doing everything, y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all went to school like me. There was a cool table at the lunchroom and shit, right? And all the cool kids sat at that one table. And if you ever got a chance to get invited to sit at that table, you didn't want to go back to sitting at any other table. You wanted to stay at that table. That's just what it was. Now he's at the cool table. And he don't want to get up. He don't want to do what got him to the cool table anymore. He got there. He made it. That's just what it is, man. Kelly Johnson, thank you for super chat. T, give a brief breakdown on how the children of forest are evil. Well, it'd be hard for me to give you. I have like 15 videos going through the whole history of the children of the forest, the whole history of how there is no blood raven, that the children of the forest stole it. There's only, I'll put it to you like this. This is the easiest way I could say it real quick. Whether it was everything that's happened in Westeros has been triggered by the children of the forest. When Harrenhal finally got their last brick in a fortress that would be unstoppable, all of a sudden Aegon Targaryen arrives, and the only one who could stop him, right? He's the only one who did that, right? So when Daenerys the Dreamer got the dream then to tell him to go there in the first place, it wasn't she got a dream. It was Bloodraven, or the children of the forest, the last green seer who overtook him, who sent that message to Daenerys the Dreamer to get her to tell her father and them to go over to Dragonstone so that at this particular time they could go and conquer Harrenhal, because they were chopping down all the weirwood trees and using them for beams and raptors. It all goes back to that. The doom of Valyria is what the children of the forest are the ones who set that up. They're the ones who blew that place up. They did it with the same spell that we've seen them do before, the Hammer of Waters. They set off the volcanoes, blew it all up, got rid of all those dragons, got rid of all that, but had their dragon that they needed to conquer this person and everything. That is basically how I can go through it. And so I know people, when in doubt, blame Bloodraven. I don't believe it's Bloodraven. Again, the person who sits that throne is called the last green seer. Last means last. That means there's only one, that you can't have another one after that. So that person who is the last green seer has been body snatching everybody and getting them over there. So he body snatched Bloodraven, and took his body over and got his memories and everything else and did all of that. It's just the last green seer who's been doing this over and over and over again. So it's not Bloodraven. You could say it's Bloodhaven, just everything, but it is the last green seer. It's just that one person. There's a reason why his name is the last. Can't have another green seer after him. He's the last one, but he just keeps body snatching people and putting his consciousness in them. Kind of like that movie, The Skeleton Key. You know, if you ever seen that movie, that they did that. No different than that. That's what's going on there. But yeah, and all that. And what up, Carla Way, on vacation, and you have time to come and hang out with us. Thank you so much. What up to Chrissy of Old Stones in the building? What up? What up to Nonfiction who agrees with the Don? Thank you so much. Fandom D Saint is in The Last of Us. Whoops, wrong universe. Yeah, you want to talk about The Last of Us. Last of Us was hey, they did their best. That's they did their best. That's all I could say about The Last of Us and everything, you know. But yeah, so again, when coming back to that, I'm trying to see if Phil can get in here and we can go over it together one more time and stuff. But let me see. He's supposed to be here. He's supposed to be here soon. So hopefully he pops in. We'll go through it again. I do believe that what he's saying is somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but I do believe that there's truth in that. You know what I mean? I do believe that there is truth. I think the guy just is burnt out with that book. I don't think he may want to do it because, again, you know, saying that maybe I should have someone pinch hit for me. Like, he's a baseball fan. Pinch hitting is something he would say. Someone may have told him that, but those exact words he's using is his own words. You know what I mean? So, you know, as he's saying, if he does get wins done, you're never going to get Dream of Spring. 100%. You're not getting Dream of Spring. You know, he's that guy. I mean, Bernie, as I said, we can take it that way. 100%. We could take it that he's being sarcastic. But there's always some truth when you're being sarcastic. There's always some truth in that shit. There's always some type of truth. You know what I mean? And I think he's really, I think he really believes that he knows he don't have time to do it. That the time ain't there for him to get it done anymore. And he's got other things he's interested in doing, which he has the right to do. He shouldn't have to just stand there and continue a book series because other people want him to do it. He should be able to do his last years on this planet. Obviously, he is old. You know, I don't know how his health is and stuff, but I'm sure he wants to do other things and everything else. There goes Phil. Phil is finally here, rocking with us and everything. Kelly John says, the accelerated SN8 ruined GOT, not the ending. Yeah, the ending did ruin it too. All right. So there's a couple of things they did wrong with the ending in itself. Number one, they did not set up the Daenerys heel turn correctly. All right. If you're a wrestling fan, right, you set the heel turn up. You give a little hints that it's going to happen. You don't just have the heel turn show up, right? And if you do it like Hulk Hogan was able to do that with the NWO, and probably most effective, biggest heel turn of all time, you know, and it's because Hulk Hogan was built up like that. They had Danny have a bad hair day and then decide to burn everybody in King's Landing. Yeah, that is that's not good enough there. They could have did something else there to build it up. You know what I mean? They could have made her be a little bit more evil, and you could see the evil building on her and stuff. That's number one. Number two, the reason why Jon Snow killed Daenerys, I don't believe will be the same reason. I do believe he will kill Daenerys, but I think it's going to be an effect so he can form Lightbringer. And she's going to sacrifice herself to form Lightbringer. I don't think she's going to go crazy like her father, and then all of a sudden he has no choice but to take her out. Number three, had Tyrion, a guy who was on death row, convinced Jon Snow to go kill the person who's going to kill him. Is Jon that stupid? How stupid? How stupid can you believe?
But she's my queen.
You
She's
know,
my queen.
this guy Tyrion's on death row. He convinces Jon Snow, yeah, you need to take her out. She's going crazy, man. She needs to go. And he goes and does it. Then you have the dragon just sit right there when she dies and burn the throne, but not burn Jon.
But she's my queen.
And also you have how hot is dragon flames? I've been around fires and buildings. You can't get that close to it. This motherfucker got fur on, and his ass ain't catching fire.
Yeah, dude, I get hot when I'm like cooking soup on the stove. You
Yeah,
know, like my hand gets a little burny.
There's a lot of things they.
Oh, not you, Bernie. Bernie as in Burndy.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they did wrong. Because if they spread out Dark Danny over 2 more, so yeah, if you spread it out, then you could do it 100%.
Oh, I'd spread her out. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like you're right when you're saying about the heel turn. If you consider what she did with Dick on and all of that, but that was just more the normal Danny that we've seen throughout the series. You know, knows how to hit 10 when she needs to hit 10 to get you the fuck out of there. But the heel turn was, bad hair day, or I'm suddenly jealous of Jon Snow, and I'm surprised that the North doesn't like me. Oh my God. Like, come on. You know that the North wouldn't like you, and they like the king in the North that you came up there. Just have some sense. The Danny we know understood like espionage better than that. She would understand why Sansa hated her and why she wouldn't get emotional about it. Like, that's not the Danny we saw.
And what did Bran go up there for the whole journey to do? Just to drop dime with that Jon Snow is
no, just to bump into Jamie Lannister. He knew Jamie was coming, so he wanted to make Jamie shit his pants for a second.
The whole journey was just for that. Yeah, he didn't get no superpowers and nothing.
Just to make Jamie shit his pants, Tony. That's all it was. He wanted that shit take right there, just so Jamie would go, oh my God.
Right. Did you hear me read the post or no?
Yeah, and I read it as well. I've seen it.
So do you think he is just playing around, or do you think there's some truth to this?
Okay, there's a couple of elements here. Like, one, I agree with almost. I was listening to you on my way home and stuff. I agree with almost everything. Lucy, don't do it. Lucy, come here. Sorry. Lucy, don't do it. Lucy, say. So I think I agree with almost everything that you said. I think he's pissed. He's taking it out. I think there is some truth in
Sounds like a drunken rant, like he was drunk.
It is. There is some element of that. The rest of that post, the beginning of it, he's talking about this friend of his that died, that projects he's kind of working on for him and through him. So I think it's probably he told the wrong person, or he read the wrong comment, and he's like reading troll comments or reading stuff, and he's getting in his head, and someone pissed him off. Someone said the wrong thing. It reminds me of, I read something crazy. I read someone's crazy post and I write a response that's like snarky and douchey, and then I delete it afterwards. Like, I think I think you're right. He might've had some wine. He might've been deep in the Dornish wine, Tony. And he decided to troll bait here a little bit. Like, and I think he was just in his way having fun and telling people, fuck you, I've done all this good stuff, I care about this, and you're talking about my death and all this shit. But like, I do think, how do I say this, the trolls have gotten in his head, and whether it's stuff you've been talking about too, with because of the response of the final season, and now you don't do something for so long, you get in your head about it. He's got the ips, Tony. And he can't admit he has the ips. So now he's overcorrecting with the anger and the frustration. So I do think some truth might be seeping through in that, but I think he's actually pissed off because he's doing something for a passed away friend, and people are talking about Winds of Winter in the comment section of it or something. Like, and he got pissed off about that.
Yeah, I agree. But as I said, I do believe he's also mad that no one likes his other shit too. Like, he's done other things.
Wild Card sucks. I mean, how can you like it? But like, some of his other stuff's cool. I mean, I've listened to a few on audiobooks, and he's an excellent writer. But like, that's his thing. Like, his thing is the Song of Ice and Fire. Like, that's your you know, I don't know how to say it, but it's like it's he's got a whatever. I don't know, man. I can't believe we're still talking about this. It's one of these things that I just can't fucking believe at this point right now, Tony, we're still goddamn, and I appreciate like the blog post. I mean, we have to talk about this. I'm so glad you did this, but really, like, dude, you're surprised at this point. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Pass it on. Pass it on. Let somebody else do it. Let Tony do it. Let Tony and Preston write this thing, and they'll pass it back and forth between the two of them. Let them write this shit. They'll get it done in fucking a year. The two of them will get this shit done in a year.
Yep, and it'll be just as good. And then he could touch it up, and then give it to him. He could touch it up, give it to his editor, finish it off, and it'll be a done deal. China Moon, thank you for the super chat. Says John unliving Danny is bittersweet as Azor Ahai. Nisa, this is history. 100%. This is the way it has to go down. There's no reason to have that story about Azor Ahai and Nisa if they're not going to replay it, as we've seen before. As we've seen before in this show, everything has repeated itself. Anything that's happened has already happened in Game of Thrones. There's nothing new. And that's just the way it's going to be here with this show, too. Kelly Johnson says, thank you for Super Chat, says, the trash House of the Dragon gave George R. R. Martin connection fits, too. 100%.
He hates Ryan Condal with a fiery passion of 1,000 suns. More than Dan and Dave, he hates Ryan Condal.
But now we have to start looking at it, right? Because when you hate Dan and Dave, we can understand why he hates Dan and Dave. And you could, but he is actually Dan and Dave. Because Dan and Dave are famous for doing Game of Thrones, but they wanted to do something else. They got bored with doing it. In the beginning, it was good. They made all the money, but then in the end, they were like, I don't want to do this anymore. We want to try something new. And then he got mad at them for rushing it and getting it done. But now he's in the same boat, don't want to do Winds of Winter. He wants to do new stuff. So what's the difference between him and Dan and Dave?
Yeah, and I think the foundation, if people want to know what the foundation of him and Dan and Dave's thing, I'm pretty sure it has directly to do with Lady Stoneheart. I think he was working on the show until that point. He said to them, we need Lady Stoneheart. They said, we're not doing Lady Stoneheart. And he said, fuck y'all. I'm out of here, motherfuckers. And I think that's the foundation with them. And then Condal probably sold himself on, oh yeah, we're gonna do it exactly like you, and then he's getting psychosomatic trauma, and it's like worse the second time. He's like, I can't believe I let this happen again. And so I think he's just he's protective, and that makes me very curious, Tony. Not meaning to spread this out, but I guess we're talking about Song of Ice and Fire in general. It makes me wonder and ask the question again. I don't mind so much that Night of the Seven Kingdoms was postponed. If it was scheduling and HBO is just all fucked up in there, if they postponed it to reshoot to stick in more Game of Thrones universe shit, like if they like, you know, like we got to put a few more extra White Walker flashbacks here. We need to do this here. We need Danny. We need a Danny here. We need Bloodraven to have a vision of Danny at some point. You know, we got to do that. Like if they start putting that stuff in.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, when you look at House of the, I'm saying though, when does it get to the point when you're the problem? Like if you have problems with people every time out, when does it get to the point where it's you, not the other people?
Fair. When it's just tough for you to allow your material. I mean, you're right. You're an accomplished writer, written several books, and written one very recently. If I said to you, I'm not Phil, but whatever, or Phil, I'm like, oh, dude, I've made 3 movies, whatever. Like, I want to take your thing, make a movie out of it. But I'm going to write the script and use it inspired by your thing. I've written, here are my other scripts. You like my work, all that sort of shit. And you agree to sign off. Are you going to throw shade if I change characters and do shit and like come out here and be like, yeah, I saw my movie. You know, it's a good movie, but, you know, Phil changed the main characters, blah, blah, blah.
But he only threw shade after it wasn't successful.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would you throw shade?
And that's the whole thing. Like, if it's successful, he didn't say a word. Then once people didn't like it, then all of a sudden, oh, they changed my book. How come you didn't complain when it was working, when they were changing your shit?
You didn't complain about that Robert and Cersei scene everyone fucking liked, or changing the Jamie and Ned fight in King's Landing.
Or changing the Tyrion and Arya interaction that never happened. You didn't say anything about
Or
that.
not having Tyrion do a backflip into the scene the first time we see him, or some stupid shit like that. Sorry, George. It wasn't all beautiful.
Yeah, but then once people didn't like it, they changed my shit. That's why they would have just stuck to the book. Everything would have been fine. I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm saying you should have complained about that stuff when it was successful, not when it hit the fan. And that to me shows that you're kind of front running on this thing a little bit, Georgie. You know what I mean, and everything. Kelly Johnson said, I never saw George R. Martin unleash on Dan and Dave like House of the Dragon. Yeah, he never did. Maybe the checks didn't clear on Dan and Dave yet. And that's why he had to wait before and the check already cleared with House of the Dragon. And Ryan Condal is the lore guy, right? That was his whole thing, was the lore. Like he knew all the lore, he knew all the backstory. Look, did Blood and Cheese come out was it better in the books than it was in the show? Of course. But how many things can we say that about? In almost any movie that's adapted from a book, everyone always say the book is better. Why? Because the book can get more involved in
the only example is The Godfather. The only other example is The Godfather. That's like the only.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, you can't show a child getting their head chopped off, and you can't have every Targaryen brat running around. These things cost money, right? So you only have a certain amount of budget. You got to cut shit. And when you write a book, you can have 1,500 characters. There ain't no budget on that. So it's things you can't do. You know what I mean? And as for someone who's worked on television shows, he should understand it. But if he can't take it, then don't give away your material, bro.
Yeah.
Don't let people adapt it.
I mean, when it comes down to why he shows more anger towards Condal and House of the Dragon stuff to Game of Thrones, I think maybe part of that is, even in a passive way, Tony, him doing what you kind of was saying. Like he knows, I think, in the Game of Thrones situation, more or less, even though they made some different choices that he would have chosen differently, that it's partially his fault. Or in the sense that he didn't supply them with the material to finish. With House of the Dragon, he's like, I pretty much finished that. Everything you're filming is already on paper. Like, just do what I fucking said. Like you said you were going to do. Where Dan and Dave ran out, so he can't really. He can blame them, but he can't really blame them. Like there's enough cloudiness there that they can just be like, well, we did our best. You didn't give, from your outline, what were we supposed to do? Whereas them,
you're
it's
the
like,
one who didn't finish the book, Georgie.
Exactly.
You're the one going to every Comic-Con in every country in the world, Georgie, showing yourself on Jay Leno and all these other shows and David Letterman and doing all these jokes and doing all these skits and everything else. You're the one who wasn't buckling down while we were out there in the snowy fucking mountains filming these shits with four different camera crews trying to get this shit done. Exactly. And you had fucking 14 years to write a book and you ain't dead.
Exactly.
In life, you open up you got your own movie theater. You bought a movie theater, George.
we can't. You can't
away free movies for people and shit. You having free people coming for free movies, but you have a movie theater. You have the popcorn, the overrated baka popping up in this motherfucker with the butter and everything else, having a good old time, and you deserve it. But in the end, you always got to handle business, man.
Yep.
You got to handle business. If you're a dealer out there, you always got to keep your product, right? You can get the money from the product, but you always got to remember to read the fuck up. All right. You can always go out there and do all your things and hang out with the women and go to the clubs, but you got to get the re-up. All right. George Martin didn't re-up. He fucked up the re-up, man. He didn't get that shit going, man. You didn't put the product out there. And the other product you putting out was cut. That shit was cut 1,500 times. Nobody wanted that shit. They sniffed that shit and said, this shit is weak. We want the other shit, bro. Give me the blue magic. But he didn't want to come with the blue magic no more. He wanted to do the other stuff, so he had more time just chilling. Fucked up the real. Yes, Chrissy of Old Stone it is coming out. It just got delayed. But it will be coming out. and everything else. But you know that's hustle 101, man. You can't fuck up the re-up, and I think he fucked the re-up up. You know what I mean, and everything else. But I do think that this post that he put out there is partially true. I do believe he knows in his heart that he's not going to get Dream of Spring done. I think he knows that's not going to happen.
I don't want to be morbid, but and I hope again, I can't believe we're saying this again. I feel like we said this 5 years ago. He's 76, and I hope he lives till 96. But if we're going by the timetable that he's been on, unless he's giving a big fuck you and writing both of them at the same time, which I know some people do think. I've heard that speculated before. It's taking this long because he's writing both of them at the same time. But, you know.
Anyone that I ever spoke to who's older always told me that getting from 70 to 80 is the hardest 10 years of your life. That's the hard 10 years. I mean, getting from 60 to 70 is the hard 10 years. Like, because anything can happen from 60 to 70. That's the hard 10 years. But once you hit 70, now it's anytime you close your eyes, you may not open them again. Yeah. Like for whatever reason. And it's sad to think about, but that's just the truth. You know what I mean? So he's in the mix. Not everybody's William fucking Shatner out here. You know, not everybody's Clint Eastwood out here. You don't see that many, these people like that. Not many people make it to 100. There's a reason why it's a big deal. My grandmother's 102 years old. You know what I mean? That it's a big deal when you live a century, over a century. When we look at the man's physical condition and everything else and all that, even though, listen, maybe my grandmother's overweight and everything else, and she's still kicking. So it could just be, it's whatever it is. But I don't know if he gets it done. I really don't think so. And again, I think he has the right to enjoy his life the way he wants to. He should not be obligated to get it done.
He could easily come out and just be like, fuck you. I'm not like, the end of this post could have been like, and I am going to finish it, but for me, and I'm never releasing it. Bye guys. Peace. Yeah. And he has the right to do that. And he can write it for him and his friends and read it to them and show up at cons and occasionally read chapters and never have to release it. But he's put this on himself to a certain extent. He's said, keep me honest, lock me in a room and let me write this. If I don't finish this by this year, do this. And then come back and forth and motivated. And he had COVID and he had like all this sort of stuff, like to not, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's almost like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing for you, Tony. I'm gonna finish this project for you. I'm gonna do this Photoshop for you. You know, I'm gonna send you something. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And then you like call me in a week, and you're like, I need it tomorrow. Okay, cool. I'll get to you the next day. And then you call me up a week later, and I'm like, oh, dude, I promise you, I'm still working on it. Tough stuff's really hard. I'm like really trying to center focus. I'll get this done. I promise I'll get this done for you. And I do that to you for 12 years or whatever it's been. And then eventually you're just like, fuck you, dude. You know, you fucking suck. Like, I don't want to hear your stupid music. I don't care about your stupid drum. Where's my fucking Photoshop? And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. I'm not doing anything for you. Screw you. I'm never going to finish the Photoshop. You're a dickbag for asking me for it. Like, I'm not going to do it. Look, Tony's an asshole. Tony's an asshole. Everyone look how big of an asshole Tony is because he's asking me to do this right now. And I'm triggered. And he doesn't even like my other work. You know, like, so that's all he's doing. He's playing an illusion, Michael. And he's trying to distract people from the fact that he hasn't done his work.
Yep.
And
you're right on that.
I did it when I used to not do my homework, Tony. You start making a mess and you start fucking freaking out. You act like an idiot, and no one talks about the homework.
I don't want to say, and I'm not going to say that the thing with his friend is a convenient excuse that he has to use for it.
Oh, to go aggressive,
like to go aggressive and give himself the moral high ground in this situation by using that. I'm not going to say he actually did that. But I'm saying it is convenient that he did that. But he arguably could feel bad that he's doing these things and he's trying to get his friends.
And he read one bad troll blog post or something.
He read something and he just pushed him over the edge. Yeah. But out of all the time he's been reading this shit for 15 years and it never pushed him over the edge before. You know, so it's something. Christy Angel says, not defending defending not finishing the books, but no one wants him done more than George. A Song of Ice and Fire is his legacy, his magnum opus. Guaranteed deep down he feels he's failed his readers, fans, and let them down, including. I agree with 100%. I will say that there's no lies detected in this statement right here.
He cares
too much, and he may care too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He cares too much. I think that interview when he does with Stephen King, when Stephen King's talking about writing more, I sit down, I make sure I do it, I blah, blah, blah. And George is like, how the fuck you do that? Like, George is too emotionally affected by it. Tony, you're creative person too. And artist, like, sometimes when you want to do it, when you want to sit there and write, you get creative constipation. And he's got the worst case. I said the ips earlier, but yes, it's a sports term. But he's creative constipation, whatever you want to do with it. You sit there and try to write a song. And you can't write a song. You close your eyes, it just fucking comes to you. Your words come to you. I mean, yeah. like you can, if you sometimes you can do it, Tony. But really the greatest stuff that, or me personally, the greatest music or the moments I've written, they come like in the spur of the moment. Like you're inspired to write something.
Like he said it when he wrote Game of Thrones. He had the first thing that popped in his head was summer snow. And then when he got that summer snow, he just started spewing stuff out and everything came to him.
He lost his happy place, like the Peter Pan thing. He lost his happy thought. He can't fly anymore. And he's having trouble getting to Neverland. I'm sorry with the stupid metaphors tonight, but I think that works.
I think that those metaphors work 100%. Gigi, thank you, says he is comfortable with no motivation. Yeah, that's what it is. And he has the right to be comfortable. He got all of this stuff late in life. Again, Stephen King was famous in the 70s. All these other people were famous early on in their career. They were young when they got that fame. So they had the chance to live it. They had the chance to go see their groups and do whatever they wanted to do and have that fun and doing everything. He got this at a late stage in life. It's a big difference.
Yep.
And now he's trying to recapture those moments and go out and do all these shows and do all the things he wanted to do. If he would have already got that out of his system early, guaranteed this book would have been done.
Tony, I have a question for you. Like if Game of Thrones ended super strong, season 8 was like super well received, would Winds have come out already?
Yes. Yeah. If everyone did a standing ovation and it got listed as one of the greatest shows.
It was like Breaking Bad, The Wire, Sopranos, Game of Thrones.
This was a 6 feet under ending.
Yes.
It would have been done. He would have been got that done. Because everyone didn't like. Let's look at the pattern, man. The pattern is, we know he didn't write. He had all that time to write before, and we know he was writing because he was doing other shit, just hanging out, chilling, spending money, buying movie theaters. He could deny that all he wants, but there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong for him doing it. He has his money. He has the right to spend.
Yeah, I'd be doing it. I'd be doing my version of that shit too.
He was doing all this shit, going out there, taking his wife, buying his wife the stuff he never could get for her, going, doing that thing, just living their life, 100%. But every time something went bad in any one of these shows is when he started complaining about the showrunners. Before, when things were going good, you never heard him say a word about the showrunners. And like I said, Dan and Dave changed many things before them, and it all worked. He was all cool with it. He may have got his panties in a twist without Lady Stoneheart, but he had to tell them where Lady Stoneheart was going to end up. Mm-hmm. And they decided that the storyline didn't need that. Because they decided, just like he decided, Dan and Dave made their money on Game of Thrones. They did their whole thing, and it was as no matter what anyone says, the number one you think when you hear behind the scenes in Game of Thrones, it was a grind to shoot. It wasn't an easy shoot. It was a constant grind,
especially coming out every year. At that, like when it was coming out like real TV shows.
They didn't want to do the grind anymore. They wanted to get that Confederate show off the ground. That was their new baby. They wanted to do that, and they wanted to get that Star Wars shit off the ground.
Star Wars trilogy. They were going to do a freaking trilogy.
Yeah, they wanted to go off and do other things, and this Game of Thrones thing was holding them back. So they just wanted to end it. And again, it was HBO who forced them to chop the last 2 seasons into 2 seasons. It was supposed to be 1 season. And it was HBO who forced them to do that because they just gave them so much money they couldn't turn it down. So they said, "All right, we'll just chop it in half and give it to you."
They're like, we can give you more episodes. No, we don't need more episodes. And absolutely, Jesse, Kathy Bates needs to go pay George a visit and say, "Get the cock-a-poop-a-doody book done."
That's what you gotta do. Count Valerian says, why George R. R. Martin went off now in particular. So I think it's two things. He was talking about, from what Phil said, his friend had passed away. He was trying to finish his works there. And
he's like sinking some money. I have to look more into it, but he was sinking some money. He's talking about a project that he's working on for a friend that passed. So like he's putting a lot of time and effort and his own money and really doing some awesome shit. Like putting his money to finish one of his passed away friends' life projects or something like that. It'd be like, yeah, exactly. It's pretty cool what he's actually doing. But to Tony's point, it also gives him an automatic moral high ground to bitch and troll about stuff that's been bothering him for 10 years or for 5 years or whatever in every other situation where he's in the defensive. This actually gives him an opportunity to be completely in the right, to be like, oh, fuck everybody. I've done all this amazing work and I'm doing another thing that's amazing and no one cares. All they ask about is wins, but fuck you all.
And when people say, oh, Tony Teflon, you're just disgusting to insinuate things happen. Listen, I've seen people do it. I've seen people lose a family member, right? Friends of mine, personally, lose a family member. Then fucked over some girl. The girl confront them in the bar. What the fuck, you cheating on me? Blah blah blah. And this, I lost my cousin today. You know that, right? You know that, right? To get out of not dealing with the fact he cheated.
Yep.
Right. I've seen people do that. So don't think people won't do that shit. That the two things ain't got nothing to do with each other. Right? But it gives him more leverage to think of a story of why he cheated. I've seen dudes do it. And y'all can say what it is, but y'all know people who did that shit too.
Oh, right? we've all goaded somebody too, and just in like just regular situations where you're like, I can't go out. The dog is sick and the dog's yawning in the background. It's like, we've all, especially the older you get, you can come up with a reason for everything.
Like, you were supposed to go at me. Did you know my dog was pooping all night? You didn't know that, did you?
It has diarrhea, Tony.
It has diarrhea. You didn't know that, but you didn't bother to ask that. You just wanted me to go out.
You can turn around about fucking anything if you want.
Yeah, when you didn't really want to go with it, you say go to the dog and say, don't worry, I'm going to get you a couple of big balls for that.
So what you're saying is George has got some diarrhea. He's got some diarrhea.
I'm not saying yes. I'm just saying that I wouldn't put it past.
Yes,
anything.
I agree. I'm with you.
I love seeing you two in the comment section. Julie B, thank you so much for being here. Glue Guns and Roses says, but what about young Griff? Maybe Lady Stoneheart doesn't make a big difference overall, but Griff would have to make a difference. They half-assed Griff's story to Jon Snow, but not really. So
you just said it. She just said it. I think.
Yeah, I think they half-assed the story. In the end, and I said this all them years ago, if it really made that big of a story, they would have kept it in. But again, we also have to understand that young Griff's storyline is tied to the Dornish storyline, right?
Oh my God.
They got rid of the Dornish storyline. That gets rid of the young Griff storyline too, right? Because they're intertwined and everything else. And then you have to have him take Storm's End. And if he takes Storm's End, what's that mean? That means you have to build a whole new set. You got to have the whole Storm's End set. You have to have the Siege of Storm's End. You have to do all that. All these things lead up to more budget, more things, and they have to say, is it worth it to go in that direction for something in the end that's still going to lead to the place where we got there, where we're going to.
Now,
you know what I'm saying?
Now, Dorne was the biggest fuck up from Dan and Dave because they had some really cool source material they could have gone to, and then they tried what they wanted to do, it failed, and then they just set fire to the whole situation. Kelly asked in a super chat earlier who the Luca Brasi of Westeros is. My first mindset went to Hota, and they just destroy, partially because of the craziness, everything he can do and everything we hear about. And then ultimately in the end, he gets choked by a couple of assholes in a bar.
The Oreo hot top by that girl.
Yeah, it's nothing. And in The Godfather, Luca Brasi, you hear all this shit about him, and in the movie, you hear more in the book, and you see how fucked up he is in the book. Same with Hota. And in the movie with The Godfather, Luca Brasi gets choked, you know, like Sollozzo stabs him in the hand and they choke him from behind and he ends up going out pretty easy too. So
yeah, just like the guy in Open Range, when you're sitting there in Open Range and this guy that's going around killing all the people, and then Kevin Costner goes, "Did you kill my friend?" "That's right, and I enjoyed it." Bang! The guy did that. It's supposed to be the big gunfight. He takes him out just like that.
Do you know where that works, Tony? It works in Indiana Jones in the Raiders of the Lost Ark when the ninja guy comes out and goes blah blah blah, and Harrison Ford just like out of it goes bang, like that. That's when something like that works in a comedic situation.
Yeah, and it works that way because Harrison Ford thought of it.
Yeah,
he was supposed to whip it out of his hand. That's what they wanted. Spielberg wanted him to do, and he was like, "I got a gun. Why don't I just shoot the guy?"
I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
He was supposed to whip it out of his hand and then get into his fight with him. But then Harrison Ford goes to Spielberg. He goes, "You know, I got a gun. Why don't I just shoot him?" And he goes, "You know what? Do it." and then immediately when he shoots him, he turns to the camera and smiles.
Yeah, he breaks the third.
Yeah, he breaks the fourth wall right after that on purpose to let you know, like, this fucking guy is fucking thinking with all this bullshit and everything else and all that stuff. What did Glue Gun say? Let me say. He says, "My youngest son is named Griff because he came out of nowhere. Put a wrench in our family plans. Didn't even know about him until I went to get my tunes. I got damn Griff."
That's a good Griff. That's very, very poetic name, Glue. I like that.
100%. That is a great name for him. Don't ever tell him that shit. If he ever asks you why his name is Griff, just say you named him after Professor Griff from the Public Enemy. I don't even know if that will go over that well. I don't know. You're like, "Mom, you named me after this black guy who doesn't like white people?" That probably wouldn't work that well. Yeah, just stick with the first script. That's even better. That's a better. Oh, yeah. That is funny. All right. Let me go get another drink, Phil. Could you hold it down for me, brother?
Yes. Okay, so let's see. Let's get in the live chat a little bit here. My youngest son's named Griff. Oh, thank you so much. Nonfiction says, "I need to finish things. Hate watching The Walking Dead at the end because I had to see through it." Hate watching is very interesting. I never got to the point of hate watching Game of Thrones at the end. It was more you kept watching it and being like, will it get better? It needs to get better. And it has to get better. But I do think, I agree with Tony that George is maybe exercising some of his own inner insecurities. If I'm playing Uncle Phil, because I don't want to get sued. If I'm playing Dr. Uncle Phil, which sounds creepy, but it's not. I swear, I mean it in more like you're asking me questions and I'm giving you answers sort of way. The real meaning of the issues guy. I do think George is sort of working through some of his inner insecurities here of what he's not so much completely angry aggro. Some part of this I read, and this is my own stuff, I read it almost sad. Like he's like, "This is what you guys think about me?" This is like, and there is a little bit of sad truth there. It's like sometimes when you're drunk in the wrong way and you read bad YouTube comments, and he just has this like, "Oh my God, this is really what people think about me."
You know why it's true? I can tell you exactly why that statement's true, though. Because when he brought up his other books, he brought up the awards they won.
Yes, he do. Like, totally.
Like,
yes.
That's the tell, right?
Totally.
There. Like, "You don't like these books? The Hugo Award winning?"
But I did. You don't like my acting? I swear I had like a standing applause when I was in front of this audience in 2019, Tony. I'm a good actor. I swear to you, I am. I can do it. Like, sure you are, Phil. Sure you are. I bet you are. Yep.
When he said that. That's why he tried to correct it at the end, said, "Oh, other ones who didn't win it." But he put that in there because "You don't like this, the Hugo Award winning." Oh.
Sorry, guys. It was just an element of that to it, Tony, where it wasn't even all like some of it was oh God, like I don't know. I feel bad for the guy sometimes. I do. I can't lie. I want him to. I would at this point. I almost feel like he's in a Kobayashi Maru situation. Like he should. I wouldn't mind him just retiring to the Bahamas and occasionally releasing anthology books of Fire and Ice Part 9000 if he wants to. I don't do it to us with Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Like stop Winds of Winter if it's causing you so much pain, and work on Duncan Egg. You seem to like that.
If it's really fucking your life up, if you're gonna be like Elizabeth, this is the big one.
Yeah, he's going to the big one, Tony.
Join you, honey. If it's gonna get to that point, George, stop.
Just stop. We're okay. We're okay. We all have our own imaginations, and we'd rather you live the remainder of your life very happy. But if you're still in the eye of the storm, if you're still releasing songs, George, and you're putting it out there, we're gonna hold you to your own standard. Yeah. And if that's the case, we both know what you're doing. We see through this crap, Tony.
You can't just be like, I spent my earlier part of the day with Tyrion, and now I'm going to spend my evening with Daenerys.
Come on,
and maybe later I'll spend my midnight with Cersei. See you guys later. You can't say this shit and then not expect people to get upset when you ain't shown them nothing.
He ain't never finishing those books.
Say those things.
You're never finishing them, George. It's okay. Just say you're not finishing them. It's okay.
You can't say it. It makes no sense. You can't go in there talking that shit. You can't do it. All right? You can't do it. If you're going to say that, then people are going to hold you to it.
Tony.
You're going to get people's blood going like, all right, he's working on the book. He's working on it, blah, blah, blah. He's doing the Cersei chapter. And then, he's doing a Daenerys chapter. What do you think he's doing? Oh, he's doing a Cersei chapter. And then you're going to get people talking and talking and talking. And then eventually the talk's going to start. And they're going to wait to hear from you to see if they was right with their talk. And then all of a sudden you can't get mad. Well, I'm working on my friends who passed away stuff, and y'all just care about this, but none of my other stuff that won awards over here. You just care about this, and you made that
release the damn chapters, George. Like, don't have to release the whole thing. Maybe release something. Maybe release in half of it. Release what you have so far.
That's what you were doing before. Throw a chapter out.
It's about time. It's been a while. It's been a fucking while, man. And
drop a new chapter. Drop a fucking new chapter, dude. And that's all you gotta do. That'll take the heat off you. You can release one chapter a year for the next 15 years, and it will take the heat off you. Man, let me tell you about Game of Thrones fans, because I'm one of them, Song of Ice and Fire fans. Motherfucker, you give us one chapter, we'll give you 365 days of content on that chapter.
You're underestimating. If he released another chapter, that's like 2 years worth of material for Song of Ice and Fire fans that have been hungry for so long. These people are starving in a cavern somewhere, Tony, waiting for
100%.
Waiting for the cracker. Waiting for any cracker.
It could
be a Walmart brand.
It'll be like, listen, it said that Tyrion's green eye twitched, which meant he's gonna ride the green dragon.
Yeah.
Also, Lannisters are associated with money, if you didn't know.
Tyrion, a Targaryen, confirmed, Tony. Targaryen, confirmed.
They'll give you all that shit. They'll go through all those things, which I guarantee it.
But so, I really do think George should just be, because this is the thing, Tony, and this is how fucked up writer's block and inspiration stuff. And who am I? What am I? Who am I to say this? But I'll say it anyway, because I don't care. So ultimately, if he came out in this post or in any post or just in his own mind said, you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna take what I have of Winds of Winter so far, put it down, put it in a safe somewhere. Like, I'm done with this shit. Like I'm never doing this. I'm retiring. I bet he finishes that thing within 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, just give up, George. Give up and it will come to you. Forget it and it comes. That's how shit works. Like, you remember it, you work hard on it, then you forget it and it comes back to you. Like, don't try anymore, and you're gonna write a lot better.
Yeah, or just what you got to do is put out what you already have done.
Yeah, dude.
100%. Whatever you got, put it out. Put it all out in one book. Whatever you got, just put it out. Put the book out.
Dude, it would be like a 700-page thing.
Yeah,
Like if
because
he actually released what he has now, if he says he has 3-4, like he's
100%. If he put it out now and left it the way it was,
he's
right?
3/4 of the way done, supposedly at the last update, about 3/4
What would,
done.
what would happen is that the fandom will go crazy. They will praise his book, and that might give him the inspiration he needs to finish it.
Yep.
Right. So when you go out, you'll get that feeling back when you put this book out. You start going out signing the books, and people are like, oh my God, George, I've been waiting for 13 years. I was 2 years old when you first started reading. I'm 19 now. I just thank you so much. When you get all that, maybe that would be the motivation to say, you know what? Now I don't have a whole book to write. I just have half a book to write.
Yeah.
I can go back and finish this other half a book because people like it so much. And that would give you the vigor to go out there and do it. So if I was his publicist and all that, I don't know what type of deal he's got. Like, he's broken every deadline there is. Like, there's not a deadline that they had in place that he didn't.
And he's posted in previous things that his editors and his people have all yelled at him, and he's basically lost about, like, he's
They need to sue him.
They could eventually if he never does it.
They need to sue him. I mean, you really need to force his hand. And if you paid him up front already. Now, if they haven't paid him, then not at all. But if they've given this dude money up front for these books already, and he hasn't produced,
I bet with some of his HBO money, he's paid back any dues he owes for that book deal he signed at some point, like to the book companies probably. So he's probably good on that end. But you're right, he has there's no not inspiration. There's no like hard line holding him to work. There's no reason. The series is already done from the majority of the mainstream audience that might pick up on the extra fame that he got, that might pick up this book, is going to read it and be to see how it's like the Game of Thrones finale or not like the Game of Thrones finale. And then all the Song of Ice and Fire fans that have been fans since the beginning are going to, rip it up. Dig into it and judge it as be like, is George the same writer? Is he the same person? It's been 13 years, blah, blah, blah. Like, what's going on? Like all these storylines that have been built up. Like what is there? 3 or 4 big battles that are still like right about to happen that he has to finish. Not to mention everything in Marine, everything with fucking in Dorne. Like there's so much, everything with Euron. Like that might not be valid on the show, but it's like he has to flesh that shit out in a book. Like that's his mistake, making too many damn characters. He should just finish the series and written extra stuff based in Dorne, like an extra book in Dorne, extra thing that kept it to the main core characters. I don't know.
Yeah, or do Arya, what's west of Westeros. Get into that whole thing. Signal Strength 5, man, Lady Stoneheart would have been such a great character for you. So it's 2 things with Lady Stoneheart, right? Lady Stoneheart reads well, right? Let's. I'm going to really break it down for you right now, real quick. It reads well, all right, Lady Stoneheart. But I don't know if it plays well on screen, right? You're talking about a woman who can't talk because her throat's been slashed. She's just walking around giving instructions to these people to kill people and all that. That's her part that we've seen her do, right? And when you're reading that sounds magnificent because we know that that's Catelyn Stark and everything else, and it sounds magnificent. Now, if she has to run into Arya, run into one of her family members, and they see her like that, then maybe we can get somewhere with that story. I mean, holding Jaime and Brienne and all that is probably going to be the end of her anyway, right there in that whole situation, right? So it reads well, but I don't know if it would have played as well on screen because of that. A character who's really not talking. You know what I mean? She's just standing there as a corpse. When you have the White Walkers already in a similar state as she would be because she's not talking. So I could understand why leaving her out. Now, if she does something significant in the books that couldn't have been avoided, then I think she would have been in there. But I think the Brotherhood Without Banners whole storyline, we got it.
Yeah, you ended up, and I think the other thing that Dan and Dave were probably thinking of is knowing what they were eventually going to do with John, and knowing that they couldn't do the story without Beric. They didn't want to make everybody in their mind, like that the three people that are going to come back from the dead. It's you at certain, even two is kind of weird with like Beric and John. So it's like if you bring someone back again and you have a third one, it would have diluted that even more and made seem like death isn't really a thing completely. I guess Drogo a little bit, but he didn't really live. It diminishes it to a certain extent, I think. So I kind of get where they were coming from a television.
What did you say? Glue Signal Strength 5 talking to Glue Guns and Brothers says Lady Stoneheart would have killed Walder Frey, the Frey revenge plotline. Well, we got that with Arya, right? So if you bring her in to do that, you're taking away probably the best thing Arya did since she came back from the House of Black and White. You get that whole plot line removed from her and give it to Lady Stoneheart. Now, in the books, I will say I don't think that will happen at all. There has never been some character who has been killed or something like that who comes back and gets revenge. It doesn't really work that way in the book show. I don't think she survives with Jaime Lannister and Brienne. I think she gets taken out right there. I think one of them will kill her in that state before the hanging happens. I don't think she hangs them and gets away with it. In order for her to do the Frey thing, I don't think she believes them, and then all of a sudden she likes them and they become friends and they go hunt Freys together. I don't think it's going to happen. I think she gets taken out by them then. When that happens, I think Jaime and Brienne kill her right then, and I think that's why her story's not important, and that's why they didn't want to use her in the end. And that's just what it is. So that's why I think it is right there. I don't think that she's gonna make it. I think she's a great book character. Again, something translating good in the book doesn't mean it translate good on screen. There's millions of examples of this that I can't give you right now. But there are millions of examples of it that this doesn't work on screen, but it's a good read. You know what I mean? That's why you got to change some things up and stuff like that, So, what I have, again, as a book fan, I'd love to see every character in the book presented the way they were presented in the book on television. But I do understand what adaptation means, and that's not one-to-one copy. It means what fits in the budget and what they have to do to make it work in the budget.
Yeah, if you're making an animated beat for beat version of A Song of Ice and Fire, and I only say animated because it would be theoretically cheaper to do some digitally animated series of some sort, and which would still be expensive to do everything with every character, every situation. It's just a different thing. HBO, they were priming Game of Thrones to be HBO's next huge big Sunday night series at that time, and trying to gear it towards not just Song of Ice and Fire fans, but also a mainstream audience, and make it as palatable for everyone as possible. And if that's the case, you can't do, it's harder to do every single little thing. That being said, in what they had, they still could have had 10 seasons of 10 episodes long. George is right when he said that. Like, they could have done 10 seasons of 10 episodes long.
And he got butthurt, and HBO wanted to do that.
Yep.
But Dan and Dave didn't. Right? They didn't want to do it. They wanted to go do something else. They were bored with Game of Thrones. Right? So then you have to me, I think that if HBO owns the property, see, I don't know the structure. Did Dan and Dave own it? Because if HBO owned the property, they should have said, all right, we're bringing in new guys to do it.
Yeah, we're bringing in Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould from Breaking Bad.
New guys to do it. And we paid you, have a nice day. But maybe somehow they had some type of ownership on it, or they weren't able to do that.
I think they signed this is, again, I don't know the deals, but from what it seems like, Dan and Dave signed an exclusive deal with George to produce the material, Then they shopped it to HBO, signed with HBO, and then George separately sold like the rest of the Song of Ice and Fire stuff rights to HBO or to Warner Brothers. But Dan and Dave at the time, I believe, had exclusivity rights to produce the main series. I think they signed some sort of deal with George. I don't have the facts in front of me, but that's what it seems like, Tony. It seems like they had some sort of leverage. That meeting when they guessed who Jon Snow's parents were and got George drunk. They had George sign something. I don't know if it was that night, but I think
I should have went down. I would have gave him more than that, motherfucker. I would have been like, I know that John's gonna kill Danny. I know this. I know that. I know Stannis wrote the pink letter. I know all these things, George. Sign with me, brother.
Yes, let me make the series. I'll totally do it.
Tennessee, sign with me. I'll make the series for you.
I mean, that's what Dan and Dave did, essentially. But I'm assuming that, because I screamed about that too. Just like, if you guys don't want to do this, step down and keep it for the plan that you initially set for the 10 seasons. But I think that was their FOMO, their ego, their problem, which it's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave, but then we won't get credit for the end of it. They were like, they wanted to stick the landing in their way. They're like, we can do this. We can do this. No.
Well, 100%. Weasel wrote the pink letter. Y'all people. All right. I will ask you in the chat. If we get a yes, then we'll go with it. Does anybody want to call in right now and speak to the Don and Phil live? I'll stay on here for about 20 more minutes or so, if you do. And we could talk about anything about Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. It doesn't have to be about this topic. I did speak to Bridge Fizza 4 the other day. Had a conversation. Had a really good conversation with Bridge. We're going to bring Bridge back. All right. Bridge is coming back.
We're going to build a bridge to getting Bridge back.
What it is that the Bridge has seen the Don's physique, and he has to get back in the gym a little bit and work out because he doesn't want to be embarrassed to stand next to the Don.
Fair.
So that's just
why do you think I'm off camera, Tony? It's not about the weed. It's not about the weed.
China Mood, good night. Thank you for rocking with us. Kelly Johnson T, who's the most dangerous man in Westeros? Me. I don't think there's one dangerous person in Westeros. One person who could say that. Oh, that's the most dangerous person. I think it would be the most dangerous people in Westeros are the small folk. If they rally together, they can defeat anybody. 101, it'd be the Night King is in Westeros, so he would be the most dangerous person with it.
Also, people from the House of Black and White, like highly trained assassins from the House of Black and White.
Yeah, and everything else, and all that good stuff. You gonna allow KP to call in, Phil?
I don't have the phone line hooked up right now. I don't know if you can jump on yours. Well, let me see. Let me set this. See how I can set this up.
I mean, I could do it, but then you're not gonna be able to hear it.
Yeah, no one wants to hear me talk. No, give me a second. Give me a second.
All right. We'll set this phone line up real quick. Kelly Johnson, Bridge is always trying to find inner peace. He is 100%. 1 second, people. What? Yeah, Bridge is always trying to be peaceful. He's a chess wizard right now. Imperial chess player and everything. I think number 3 on his thing right now, and so he's been working on that a whole lot and stuff. And see, what would a Rise of the Valyria show look like? It all depends. If it was a cartoon, I think it'd look even better. You could do a lot more in a cartoon. I think the problem with Game of Thrones and the spinoffs is that they try to make the spinoffs Game of Thrones.
Yep.
You have to separate the shows. You have to make it have its own feel. House of the Dragon is a good show, but the thing that's not working is that it's trying to be like Game of Thrones too much. The reason why Better Call Saul is most likely the greatest spinoff of all time is because it's nothing like Breaking Bad. But it gives you those Breaking Bad elements to let you know that it's from the same place, but it's nothing like it, right?
Tony, if people want to find out if it is the best spinoff of all time, make sure you check out on Tony's channel the last live we just did, where we figure out what the greatest spinoff is of all time. Does Better Call Saul get the win? Check out the stream to find out.
Yeah, I would say that it's up there, but I ain't gonna tell you.
I will say, yeah, it's in the cut. Well, we can't. I mean, we'd be lying if we can't just say it's in the competition.
We can go through all. The Jeffersons is a great spinoff.
Okay,
does it try to be All in the Family? No, it takes things from All in the Family and makes it its own. When you watch the Jeffersons, you ain't thinking about Archie Bunker. You ain't thinking about Edith. You ain't thinking about that. But when you watch House of the Dragon, they want you to think about Jon Snow. They want you to think
Danny
about
actually shows up.
Yeah, they show Danny. They show
fucking Danny.
The White Walkers.
They show that damn fucking dagger. That fucking dagger, dude.
All the way has got the dagger tattooed on her pretty little arm, so we will not say anything about
it. I'll hate on that fucking dagger. Like I like the damn dagger. It looks great on Carla, but still, I don't want to see it in every damn Game of Thrones series. Like it's the friggin' White Rabbit walking through Alice in Wonderland. Like, oh, there it is again. There it is again. Like it's the Crypt Keeper introducing each series. Tony, we get the Crypt Keeper dagger. The dagger should start talking and going, on this week on Game of Thrones, we have Duncan Egg. You know, I'm gonna fucking pull the dagger out. No, fuck that shit, dude. By the way, the phone lines are open, I think, right now.
All right, yeah. Can you please put in there? Glue Guns and Roses wants to call. We'll take her call first. She wants to talk about House of the Dragon, so we'll let her call first, KP, and then call after Glue Guns. Someone put Phil's number, please, in the chat so everyone knows exactly what number to call. Dita, I'll read these real quick. Dita, Tony, Phil, in chat, you are amazing people. Thank you so much, Dita the GOAT.
I'm a horrible person, but thank you, Dita.
We appreciate it. We like to hear those lies.
Yeah, that's lies. Lies, but Tony's a good person, but not me. I suck.
Yeah, what about the rise of old Gis? Is the other super chat we got. Again, when I say this, the thing about that makes any spinoff successful, the best spinoffs, don't try to be the other show. It stands on its own too. It makes it so if you watch the Jeffersons, you never had to watch All in the Family.
Yeah, if you watch Frasier, you never have to watch Cheers.
You never had to watch Cheers at all. You can
4 episodes maybe. Yeah, where they pop up.
But if you did watch Cheers, it makes it better. But you never had to watch Cheers. What they did wrong on this show is that they tried too much to be like Game of Thrones instead of setting their own tone of the show. That's why they messed up. And that's what they need to do. And if they don't know how to do it, hire me and Phil.
Yep.
Right? You got to hire us for 1/4 you paying those other motherfuckers.
We'll punch up any damn writer's room.
I guarantee you I'll make that show fucking hot.
Signal strength. I'm with you. Better Call Saul's sitting at that table with its brother, Breaking Bad, with The Wire, with Sopranos, and a few other shows that I'm not going to list right now.
Go do it. Good Times is a spinoff of Maude. When you watch Good Times, do you think of Maude? Do you need to watch Maude to watch Good Times? No, you don't.
Whoever just called back for some reason, it rang once and then hung up. So
call right back if you messed up on that. So that's what I think they. Yeah, no, we did not block your number. Please call back.
No, if it does it again, I'll call you. Let me see.
Call right back, please. Yeah, you have to be your own thing. All right, and you had the opportunity to do so. You added black people as Valyrians, and you had to go. You should have made the eyes purple. Just because the other people didn't do it correct didn't mean you shouldn't have done
I got you, Glue. Is this Glue Guns and Roses? No, I didn't block your number. For some reason, it didn't actually physically ring. But here we go. Welcome.
I've had many men tell me that in my lifetime, y'all. I don't know about that.
What's
Fair.
going on, girl?
Hey, okay, so I really love House of the Dragon, especially the first season, and that might just be like I messaged in the chat earlier. Like my dad remarried and had like a whole different life, and like my little brother and I were 15 years apart, and it was like a really weird situation where my dad loved my little brother, but he was ignored. I don't know, it was really weird. And then when my dad died, it was also awkward because like he left everything just to me, and like my little brother was left out. And like, so I felt for that because like, but me and my brother have a close relationship, right? So I loved that. But you know what I really, really hated was that in the second season, that it's like the characters, I don't know how to put it, like they resisted or they stopped making sense in a way. And not all the time, mainly. So like, hold on. Yes, I'm on the phone. I'm calling in. What do you need? Okay. Anyways.
You can call us a radio show. She's calling in the radio show.
Sorry. So like Allison, like she's for her kids, right? But then at the very end, all of a sudden she's okay with giving up her son. I guess that just didn't make sense. That really bothered me. It's like, let her go all in.
But she
like,
went swimming.
How these women were so pissed and twisted that they are willing to F it. We're going to war. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then with, so one part that really irked me though was the Mysaria. How do you say her name?
Massaria?
Like the white.
Yeah.
Massaria, is it? I think.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
The white. Yeah. Whatever.
The white worm.
So,
the white worm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So with Rhaenyra, like kissing her, I could see all that happening because she's shown to be selfish. She's shown to be like a really like kind of sexual person, but it was like never brought up again. Like that was wrong. Like because she had just heard how the white worm.
It was because it was an actor improv. It was an actor improv that they just kept in.
Okay, well that's fine too. But then I do think they should like round back on that or even build on that. The show.
Yes, they should do a scene and talk.
Rhaenyra's like,
yep, 100%.
Yeah, like how she's trying to like fight the patriarchy, but now she's like turning into pretty much like the male version. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, how
like,
she's becoming
not aware.
She's becoming what she hates in a sense, and having that sort of transformation be more depicted. Instead, it was just more of a throwaway scene that meant nothing and just came out of nowhere and had no foundation of meaning, and it kind of took away from the narrative.
Yeah, I also think that what goes on with this show, and the problem with this series right now is that you feel that you can throw a dragon at something to make all the problems go away, right? It's not about that.
Yeah.
The thing that made Game of Thrones successful wasn't the sex and the violence. It was the story itself. And now I think that in this series, they're like, well, we got dragons. Fuck the story. It don't matter. This bird shit. Throw another dragon up there. Make a dragon squeal. Do this. And they think that that's going to carry the day.
Yeah.
And I think that's the wrong approach.
And on top of that, Tony, the other thing that made Game of Thrones really work was unique, interesting characters. And what they do in House of the Dragon, partially because this is just how the book was written, and this is a book thing, each one of these characters are archetypes that were similar-ish to other Game of Thrones characters. And instead of truly developing those characters on screen in the way we see them, they come off at times, to me, even though the performances are good, as caricatures. It's like we're not really getting to know these characters. We're more watching, I don't know, they just don't feel like real characters all the time to me. And I think that's one of the big problems with the performance. I think that's just part of the problem is they seem familiar. And there's not too many unique, interesting new
giving them the same hairstyles.
Yep.
Like you're doing too much. And that's what Vikings, and I'm not gonna get on them. Vikings did the same thing.
And those last seasons kind of sucked because they did that.
They did the same thing. When you even with the spinoff and everything else with Vikings, you're trying to be Vikings too much instead of separating yourself and being your own show and not a spinoff. You have to, again, we've said it with Frasier or Jeffersons or Better Call Saul. You didn't have to watch any spinoff show from them, Mork and Mindy. You didn't have to watch Happy Days with them on it to enjoy that show. It was its own show. And they have just tried to ride the Game of Thrones wagon so much that we're going to make every scene, we're going to give them a reference back to the old Game of Thrones show. People don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Let that stand on its own. Make your own show.
And that was what was cool about season 1, Glue, with everything they did. I think in the first half, it kind of felt like with everything with King Viserys and all of that felt kind of new and unique and interesting to me. And it was more and season 2, I think I didn't hate season 2 as much as some people do. I kind of liked some of the Damon tripping shit and all of that. I found that very strangely entertaining. But
I know why you found it entertaining.
Yeah, why that was reminding me at a gathering of the Vibe show on mushrooms or something. It was great. It was like looking in a mirror at times there, guys. It was great. It was great. That's fun.
What is the grandmother's name that's married to Corliss? I forgot. It starts with R as well. What's her name again?
Rainey.
Rainey's. Yeah. Okay. So Rainey's. I liked most of season 2, but I guess it's just. It wasn't even like a plot or acting or like the individual shows like themselves, or episodes, I guess. It was just somehow like the characters, it's like they were held back in a sense, or I don't know the best way to describe it, but Rainey is one thing that bothered me that didn't make sense. She was very much against her son being okay and willing to technically father or say he was the father of Rhaenyra's kids, right? She was against them inheriting anything. She did not want to own them as legitimate kids. Although she knew, and she even brought up to Corliss, our son's a problem, him being gay, right? They brought that up in season 1. So she knew about that. She knew he was okay with it. She knew he called them son. She knew that he had his boyfriend on the side, and she was totally against that. She was not okay with that. But then all of a sudden at the end of season 2, she wanted him to give his Corliss's half sons a title where she was cheated on. Do you know what I'm saying? That didn't make sense to me. The same person who was not okay with her sons. I don't know if that makes any sense. How I put that out.
It's inconsistent, right? They're not being consistent with the character that they're putting forth. You can't have a character one day like milk and then all of a sudden 2 episodes later don't like milk. You got to be consistent with their character all the way through. And I think that's writing that people think that people aren't going to care about. I think sometimes these writers take the audience for a joke. They ain't going to worry about that little thing right there. They ain't going to worry about that.
Yeah.
Just do it. And not knowing that how much vested that people are actually in on this thing. And I think that's wrong for them to do that. It's hard for me to say anything bad about Rainey's myself because I love that actress when I seen her in Nurse Jackie.
Too.
Yeah, she's
great. The first time I seen her was in Nurse Jackie, and I loved her so much in Nurse Jackie. And I'm just happy to see her.
No, see, I loved her in the show, especially as she played, and she was written like an older, seasoned woman who had her beliefs. She stood by what she believed. So I guess that's why it was just so weird to me at the end with her. Does it,
Yeah, I agree.
But anyways. I'm going to let KP, I know he's waiting to call in, so I'm going to let him call in or somebody else call in. But yeah, I'd had to get that off my chest.
But your phone sounds so good. It's you're so clear. But thank you so much, as always, Glue.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right, goodbye.
But that phone, so good. Such a clear phone call.
I'll let everyone know here that we will be doing official live streams. Again, I'll be doing a chapter with Mace the Pain, reading the start of Winds of Winter. We'll start with Mace the Pain, and with Brand 1, you'll see it go up soon, and we'll read the whole chapter, and I'll break the chapter down. We're gonna keep doing it and going on and everything else. We're gonna get that. As for Dr. Kopenstein, no, it's not clickbait. We've already discussed it. We've been on here for almost 2 hours, brother. 2 hours. China Moon, thank you for the super chat. I got 2 things. I want to see Visenya and Magar on screen. I also like the references to God. We get answers to an answer in God. Yes, and I think again, it
1 second,
again,
KP.
what I'm saying is I'm not saying that you can't talk about Game of Thrones. I'm just saying you can't try to be like it. You have to be your own show. And I've given you many examples already on successful spinoffs and what the formula is. And the formula is not to be that show, to be your own show, but then you can have Archie Bunker show up. You can have Sam.
Once you're a hit. Once
Yeah,
you're a
yeah.
hit, or maybe once in the first season to kind of like get you jump
Yeah,
started.
you can have Sam show up in Frasier. You can do these things. This thing leaned heavily. They got the Starks looking exactly the same 100 years before, and they're wearing the same exact outfits. You got the
like a
guy
Ned
trying
Stark
to
look-alike.
sound. He's trying to sound like him, and his voice.
Dude, they had the Targaryens wearing the same wigs as Game of Thrones, like the same wigs.
Same exact ones. Change the shit up. The one thing they changed up the small council, they put the small council, they put the ball in there, right? And when people would talk, they put the ball in there.
The ball thing. Yeah, because it's fucking.
Great.
Yeah,
That's great. You changed it. You changed the small council room. You gave it your own flair by putting the ball in there, right? That's great. Everyone knows the small. But
they were playing cool while they were writing it. They're like, "Oh, let's do the ball thing. That would be great."
All right, KP, do your thing, baby.
Yeah, and end us off here, KP. It's bedtime.
Good evening, good evening to everybody in the chat. Hope everybody's having a good night. I was watching you guys from probably about 45 minutes, an hour in. So didn't comment too much in the chat, and didn't hear the first part of the conversation, perhaps. But I know we were talking about Winds of Winter, and I have some things to say about Winds of Winter. We don't fucking care anymore. Like I think it has to be said. We really don't fucking care anymore. Whether he writes it, he doesn't write it. Like if he writes it, I'll read it. If he doesn't write it, I won't read it. I don't think any real like fans of the book, show, series. I think we've fully divested.
I have too much self-respect at this point, KP.
Did I end?
I said I have too much self-respect at this point. I can't care about it anymore.
Exactly. You've it's like what Papoose was saying about Remy Ma. You cheated on me once. I took you back. You cheated on me twice. I said, okay. You cheated me third time. I went to therapy and I fixed myself. And you cheated me on again. And now I'm done. Like,
yeah.
Like he's since 2018, 2017, 2018, he's been telling us next year. Like definitely late next year. I remember when he released the Blood and Fire book, and we were at least thinking, well, all right, maybe we'll get some kind of thing that tells us a little bit about what's happening in Winds. I know it was just a bunch of Targaryen history that we kind of already knew between the law, the history of Westeros type book or whatever it was, and the law animated series that they have on the DVD box set, the 7 or 8 of those episodes. Pretty much 90% of what was in Fire and Blood, we already knew about. Like, Tony, am I right? Phil, am I right?
You're 100% right. I listen, right. Man. It's what it is, man. When you're dating a woman and she teasing you, there's only so much blue balls you can take.
At some point, you have to go somewhere else.
He has given us blue balls for over 14 years. And he was saying, what's good? Well, I want to wait till I'm married. Bitch, it's been 14 years. I've been trying to marry you.
14 years now. What's happening?
Yeah, I've been trying to marry you. You ain't trying to marry me. What's going on here? Take on this shit.
That's crazy, yo. That and I am sure that there's a small subset of what's the name of the guy who lives in Denmark or whatever? Elia? Is it Elia?
Yeah, Elia and Linda. Linda.
Those two weirdos. Forgive me. I just think that they're weirdos.
Elio. Is it Elio's Pizza? Is like Elio's Pizza?
Yeah. It is Elio, right? Elio.
I honestly did. I'm not sure. It's either Elio or Elio.
I think it's Elio.
Those people, like those people are maybe like three of them.
No, wait, KP. We have to get to the bottom of this Elio thing. No, I'm kidding. Okay, keep going, KP.
It is Elio.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Whatever his damn name, whatever the name is, because
he makes a good pizza. He makes a damn good frozen pizza.
Videos, and I was like, oh,
what a ponytail!
Horrible, elite.
Tastes good, but good ponytail pizza.
He just literally types that. So from the instant a story leaves a book and goes onto a screen, TV, movie, or otherwise, it's the worst thing ever. Like, they're just those kinds of people. So whatever. But like, nobody else cares. Anyway, my other points. Tony was talking about Purple Eyes. Listen, I watched Dune the other day. Dune did Blue Eyes so fucking well. I have no idea why Purple Eyes could not be done. Dune did Blue Eyes. The eyes are bad. Mm-hmm. So fucking well.
Yes, they did.
They're too worried about
I don't think it was $1 billion.
KP.
I think you could have gotten it done.
Tony.
Yeah, they are too worried about the consistency with Game of Thrones, so they don't want to do it. Fuck the consistency of Game of Thrones. Make your own show.
Yep, exactly, 100%. And this another thing. I love House of the Dragon. But I more so love Princess and the Queen. That book, I think we've said this multiple times in this channel. That book and Ian Glenn reading that book, which is it's a 3.5 hour read. It's a short read, that's a quick flight, right? That book sent me to sleep for maybe 3 years straight.
Well, that's Ian Glenn's buttery voice. That's what that is. That buttery
such a
voice.
Nice, compact story that I understand that you guys want. Money is important, and I understand that doing 5 seasons, 7 seasons, whatever, is financially better for the people making the show than it would be to do a mini series of 12 episodes or 2 seasons of 8 episodes each and give us that full story there. And I think that is one of the things that Hot D is missing, in that they're stretching out and stringing along the story to try to get to 4 or 5 seasons, whatever it might be. Which is,
I think KP just wanted to say Hot D.
In order to do that, you have to add things to it, and the stuff that they're adding,
he's waiting for it,
is shit. The stuff that they're adding to it is things like that kiss between Mysaria and Rhaenyra that just happened and they left it in. It's like, why the fuck did you leave it in? First of all, it's not in the book. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Rhaenyra doing a lot of weird stuff in the book, right? So yeah, I mean, if you guys wanted to go that direction, sure. I mean, it makes sense. It fits into the story, and there's nothing inside the story that prevents it from being like a thing, right? Cool. But like, just as the other call was saying, make it make sense. Make it be like, not to do spoilers, but at some point, Mysaria and oh god, Uncle Husband. What's Uncle Husband's name?
Damon.
Damon, right?
Damon.
Mysaria Damon become enemy.
Matt, right? Damon.
So that's
good one, Tony. That's perfect. That's good.
They could have used that as like a thing to push.
I like the red
that nudges them towards being enemies. You know what I mean? But like, they just did it, and that was it. They did it, spectacle, blah. I feel the same way about that as I feel about Ellie in Last of Us being a dad. That upsets me so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she's fighting, I'm the dad. Like, that pissed me off so much. That pissed me off the same way that the Rhaenyra Mysaria kiss pissed me off. Not because of any kind of LGBTQ thing, no. Because what was the point of it? It was just spectacle for no reason. What was the point of it? Spectacle for no damn reason. Cool. And then I have 2 more little points here. What was it? No one cares about that. Oh, so last thing. So you guys are saying that game in House of the Dragon, it seems as though they're just the showrunners are just throwing dragons at all their problems and thinking dragons can fix it. And I agree with you, but I don't necessarily think that they are wrong for doing that, because if you read that novella, or you watch or you read the novella, or you watch even the history and law that they have on it, the 30-minute little thingy, you will see that basically all of that entire story is Targaryens getting dragons and throwing them at problems. Am I right?
But real quick, Ricky, number one, we've read it. I'm the Don Tony Teflon Spill the Issues guy.
Obviously, obviously.
Now, I will say that they do put the dragons in it, but if you look at the problems in the book, it's all political problems. They try to handle the problems with dragons, but they build up to all that stuff, right? So I think that they're not doing the build up correctly. Right, I think that it's basically like Eddie Murphy said straight up. He's like, Jane Brown's writing a song, and he's sitting there. He's like, I need a word for this. Heck, yeah, that works, right? That works, James. So I think it's like that. I think it's just like, damn, we're stuck here. We need a scene right here, right now. We need something to happen here. Dragon. All right, yeah, there you go. Put that dragon in there. And I think that's where it's going. And I think that's the problem. They just think they could throw a dragon in there, and that solves all the problems. Again, Glue Guns came on here and talked about multiple problems with the story itself. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's going on here. And I think that if they just got it right and they didn't have to do anything like that, then they'd be better off. I think that's the way it goes. And they're just trying to put a dragon in there to do it. Again, I'd love to see a dragon battle. I love to see dragon versus dragon. That's great when they do all that. But it's what leads up to those dragon battles that's more important than the actual dragon battle itself.
Yeah, well, and not just that, but I would say that there is a lot of, like, Targaryen politics seems to be this. Targaryen A has a problem with Targaryen B. Targaryen B becomes dominant in the problem because Targaryen B has a big dragon. Targaryen A does not have a dragon. So Targaryen A goes out and gets a dragon and then is able to come back and win the argument because now Targaryen A now has a bigger dragon. Like that's so, and their political issues, they basically try to solve them by finding a bigger dragon, either a bigger dragon for them to ride or a bigger dragon that is owned by another Targaryen to get that person on their side to go and jump against their foes. So like, I understand what you guys are saying about the story, but like the book is kind of, first of all, the Princess and the Queen is a simpler, less cerebral story. It really is a bunch of Targaryens throwing dragons against one another, and then eventually all the freaking dragons die. So that's all I'm saying. And then my final point. Hold on, let me just check my little notes here. Final point that we were talking about. We were talking about the right about Rise of Valyria and how a Rise of Valyria type spin-off, whether it's a TV show, movie, whatever, how it could work. And I think Tony is right. You guys are very, very correct about the fact that Hot D and it seems a lot of the other spin-offs are trying to tie themselves into the world of Game of Thrones and is selling them. They are mainly selling themselves, or at least House of the Dragon at this point. They're mainly selling themselves, and Duncan Egg as well, and some of the things that were proposed that didn't happen. Selling themselves. The major selling point is you get to go back to Westeros. You get to go back to the world of the Game of Thrones. That to me has been the biggest selling point of any of these series that has been announced to be in production or in writing or whatever, whether they actually make it or not, right? The story in and of itself is second place to giving viewers an opportunity to go back to Westeros.
If Duncan Egg is successful, they won't even bring up Game of Thrones shit. They'll just do the show, and then people will realize that that's where it's taking place.
100%, because I see Game of
Thrones. If I see that fucking dagger show up and fucking dunk an egg again, and I see this fucking dagger all of a sudden, then I'm gonna be like, this is just bullshit, bro. Now all of a sudden this dagger is everything.
If the dagger shows up in Duncan Egg, this dumb dagger shows up in Duncan Egg again. I mean, listen, and you know what? That is not something that I would take off the table. Because I think they think we love that. I think they think we love that dagger. And like, the dagger is fine, but like, we don't give a fuck about it. But this is like a Rise of Valeria story, as I was saying. I think the most important thing you want to do is tell the story of the fucking Valeria. This oligarchical, almost Athenian-like, Athenian, Carthaginian, perhaps even Roman-like civilization that is very advanced and very sophisticated and is run and ruled by by 40 particular families that own all the businesses, own all the land, own all the slaves, and the fucking dragons as well. And it just so happens.
All right, we're out of here, KP. It's 12 o'clock. I gotta get the fuck to bed, bro.
I'm 30 seconds from done.
No, it's not Friday. It's midweek. We gotta get up in the morning.
So the 37th family from the top of the 40 is the Targaryen family, and you see them in the peripherals every now and again until the last 6 episodes of the last season, where they plot or something and they get the Dragonstone. I think that will be an amazing way to put it forward. And just as you said, to make it animated, oh my, I can see that being amazing. What are your thoughts on that? Give me your answers. Give me your comments. Let me hear what everybody has to say. And I will wish you guys a good night and watch you on the TV. Goodbye.
Love you, KP, but I'm not sure what the question was.
Yeah, me either. Sonic, your boy, I don't know what you're talking about. My Golden Girls time. I'm not going to watch the Golden Girls tonight, but I do love the Golden Girls. I think it's one of the greatest television shows ever made. So I don't know if you mean you're talking about. Maybe you mean something like the Don is handling himself. The Golden Girls. That doesn't happen. All right. If you talked about Mona from Who's the Boss, we'd be talking, or Felicia Rashad, but that would be it, but not the Golden Girls. No. All right. That wouldn't work and everything. Yeah. So, in the end, what the topic is about, will Windsor Winter come out? I really hope it's a big troll from George and he's actually got it. But in my heart of hearts, and I'm dead ass about it, if he doesn't release a chapter or half the book, I don't think we're going to get the Windsor Winter. I know we ain't getting Dreams of Spring. That's a done deal. You can forget about that. You can forget about that. And I do believe that he was being tongue-in-cheek with a lot of the comments, but I do believe that we can draw a lot of truth from them comments. That's what I'm saying about it. Phil, how do you think?
Yeah, I just think George is frustrated to a certain extent in dealing with a little insecurity and writer's block. I think we will eventually get whatever he has finished so far. I do not think we'll ever get the actual book at this point, and I don't think it's because he's going to pass. I just think the more he wants it, the harder it's going to be. And I also think it's impossible for Dream of Spring. Well, whatever he meant tonight, or in that blog post the other day, he was blowing off some steam, and maybe that might help a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he needs a little I don't give a fuck attitude because he's been trying to make too many people happy. Either way, it was kind of funny.
I think he knows that he can't get it done. I think he really doesn't want to do it. I think he's moved on from it. I think he's doing other things. I think he cares about it, like he says, but he's got other things he cares about, as he's pointed out. And I think he wants to finish those other things. Now, again, it's his magnus opus, but not everyone gets to finish it. If he ended it right now, again, think of it as someone passing away too soon, like a Biggie Smalls or someone who had Biggie Smalls only came out with 2 albums, right? 1 album and passed away before the second album came out. There's no guarantee that the next albums would have been great. We think they could have been, but doesn't mean it could have been. But because he went out on that, that's what we have.
Yep.
So we would have no idea if the Windsor Winter would be great, but if he passed away, we would have to automatically think that it would be because of his prior work, right? So I think it could be a situation like that. And I think he has the right to spend his money. He has the right to be happy. He has the right to rest on his laurels and not do what he doesn't want to do. So if he doesn't want to finish it, I will not be mad about it. I will not be disappointed. I'll just say this is the way it goes, and all my theories are right. And that's it.
That's the surefire way to make sure, Tony.
That's about it. What up to Khaleesi Clues? I am sorry that you are coming when we're about to go up, but we have to go up because I got to get the fuck to bed. All right. Again, we'll be back. Phil, you got anything coming up?
Maybe this Sunday, but I'm not sure. I got to check with it. Joe and I might be doing a worst actors list this Sunday.
Do you want to talk about this fucking Duster series? Have you watched that?
I watched one episode. I got to try to watch the second episode. I didn't like the first episode.
You didn't like Duster the first episode?
All right.
I thought Duster was good.
I got to watch it again. Maybe I was not in the
Third
right.
episode, I think, drops tomorrow.
Let me watch the second episode. See how I feel.
Yeah, see how you feel about Duster. I like Duster. I think it's a good show. It makes me laugh.
I like Sawyer. I like the main actor.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, and you have the best voice in all of Hollywood playing the villain.
Yep.
I mean, I wish that dude would read my fucking novel so bad. Like,
that's what I'm with John Haymaker. It's good. I didn't hate it. It was just like, it was okay. I was like, it held my interest a little bit. But I wasn't inspired to watch the second episode.
It gets better in the second episode.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot. All right, people. At the way you do this, please thumbs up this. Yeah, Mobland is 100% the best show on television right now. Period. Point blank. End of story. Can't wait for. I wish I could have covered.
And White Lotus fans, there may be a hold up for the next season of White Lotus because Mike White is on another season of Survivor. So you're going to see more Survivor cameos on White Lotus, and you're going to see more inspiration for more seasons. So maybe he's going to be on season 50. He was on about 5 seasons ago, but he's going to be on season 50 again. You got to announce
season 49 though, right?
Yeah, there's 2 people from 49 that's going to be on 52. It's an all-star season. And Mike White.
Season 49. They haven't done season 49 yet.
No, but they just announced the 50 cast because they went out today and they knew people were going to take pictures and spoil it anyway. So they just disclosed it.
How do you announce the 50th show when you haven't done the 49th yet?
And there's 2 players for 50 from 49.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's
just dumb.
Some of the picks are kind of stupid too. That you got a couple of 5-time players instead of some players that were cut at the last minute.
I'm gonna look up to see who's on season 50 now.
There's some interesting choices, but there's also some interesting cuts.
I mean, Russell's back, right?
No, they did not pick Russell.
Why would you bring Russell back?
No, fucking dumbass Ozzy's back again for a 5th time.
Ozzy? Who wants Ozzy?
Ozzy's again. He's back.
Boston Rob is back?
No, Boston Rob.
Yeah, he's big. He's too fat. He can't do that.
Jenna from the first season.
No one cares about Jenna.
Who else is the next? Colby is back.
Oh, no one cares about Colby.
Colby's back. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's just. Yeah, let me see Survivor 50 cast. Let me look this up real quick.
Cerie's back, which is cool. I don't mind.
Yeah, she deserves to come back because she won it, right? So.
No, she hasn't won yet. She hasn't won. There's only 2 winners.
Oh, I think you meant the black chick from the Black Widows.
She won. No, yeah, she did. She didn't win that season. Poverty won that season.
She did win Survivor though, right?
She won. She won Traders.
She won. She didn't win that. Oh, she did win Traders. That's right.
No,
so they got Colby, Stephanie, and Benjamin, Coach Wade.
Wade. I don't mind Coach. Coach is a good pick.
All right. Who else is on here? Why did they just list all the names together? You got Jenna Lewis Doherty.
Yep, from season 1.
You got her, Kobe Dawson.
Season 2.
Stephanie Kendrick. Is that the one that Boston Rob was sleeping with? Stephanie?
No, that was Amber. Stephanie LaGrossa was the one that she was very famous at the time, and then Rupert kind of overshadowed her. She was down to like a tribe of 1. She's what? She was on the Traders too once.
All right. Sari Fields is in there.
Yep.
Ozzy is in there.
Fuck him. Fuck that douchebag.
Benjamin Coach Wade.
Go Coach.
All right. Got the same hair as you. Audrey Baraka.
Yeah, Aubrey. She was a finalist that people feel like she got robbed. She's another one that's a kind of a what the fuck pick,
Yeah.
because most people aren't going to know her, and she really, her story was told. Like, she shouldn't be on again.
Christy Hofbeck.
Christy was another similar to Aubrey. She was in the finals. She was in the first season that they did the fire making challenge, and she lost because of it, because they weren't prepared for it. I didn't really like her character.
Yeah, Kristen Kubik.
He's amazing. He's fucking incredible. He's a rocket scientist. And he's really quirky, like Revenge of the Nerds quirky.
Yeah.
He's very funny. He's awesome television. He's one of the best picks.
Yeah, he's got a fucking.
He's
got a trail coming down from his belly button.
Yeah, he's a strange guy. He's
bro. Get rid of that. You don't need that no more. All right, you don't have to have the nature trail no more. That's all. Angelina Kelsey.
She's also from the same season.
Yeah,
she's hilarious. She's very good television.
Mike White. It
White.
seems like a lot of David Berkeliah people are on this.
Yeah, these three of them. And
Mike Evans.
He's hilarious. He's like a newscaster. He's one of
Jonathan Young.
Bad pick. He's a challenge beast. He's huge. He's big. He's ridiculous. Yeah. I think he's a professional wrestler or something like that.
Emily Flippin.
Emily's hilarious. A troll. She shouldn't have played Survivor once, and she's back for a second time.
Dee Valaris.
Winner. One of our two winners. Dee is an awesome winner. She's about to be on the next season of the challenge too. I don't see Dee going far because she's a winner. There's only two winners in the game, but Dee's awesome. Dee's fucking great.
Hugh Burnett.
Fucking hilarious. The dude is fucking great. If people haven't seen his season or don't know Q, look up the purple something podcast is his podcast. He's just a funny fucking guy. He's funny.
Charlie Davis.
I don't know Charlie too well. I don't watch his season, but Charlie is another one of these guys that almost won.
All right. Tiffany Irving.
Tiffany is another one. These are some of the seasons I didn't watch as much.
Guinevere.
Nah.
Guinevere is in there. Kyle Frazier, who just won.
Kyle, yes, they actually picked the winner of the most recent fucking season.
Yeah, he just won. They put Kyle in there, huh?
And they picked Joe, who was another finalist in this season.
Yeah, Joe was in there. I told him that Joe was coming.
And then they picked Camila.
Yeah, I said that all three of them would make another Survivor, and then all of them made 50.
Yep.
All right, and listen, there's three. If they get on the same tribe, you got three right there linking together right off the bat.
Yep. Tony, we might need to talk about this season.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. All right, we could definitely, because it was the worst season compared to that, and the Traders is the worst two fucking seasons.
Tony, if you heard
reality TV ever fucking seen in my life.
Tony, if you heard some of the people that got cut at the last minute, there's like a handful of people like John Penner, who worked on Seinfeld, but he's a hilarious guy. Got cut at the last minute for Oz, like fucking Aussie. Rob Sesternino, who's one of the best podcasters in the world, and one of the most popular contestants ever, got cut at the last fucking minute for what?
I think you have to bring back some like a Parvati. You need a Parvati. If you're gonna do 50, you bring back the biggest stars that made the show that big. You bring a Parvati back. You bring back a Russell. You bring these people back.
You bring back Richard fucking Hatch from the first.
Bring Richard Hatch if he can still walk. Bring back the guy who started it all. You know what I mean? Bring him back. It doesn't seem like they have a lot of villains in this thing when I'm looking at the list. So it could end up like this.
Q is going to be a villain.
Like Big Move Mitch, who never made a move all season. Gonna have to make a move. You never made a move all season.
Don't underestimate Q, Tony. I don't know if you watch this. He's a villain. He's gonna come in. He's calling people out.
All right. Let me get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
right.
Here we go.
Thank you all for running with me, Miss Duncan the Tall. Have fun on your vacation, and not you. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. You call away. Have fun on your vacation, Miss Duncan the Tall. We'll be calling on you soon, beautiful CC, to do some Duncan Egg live streams. Can't wait, and everything else. And if you like the way I do this, thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, of course, subscribe. And until next time, you know what it is. Peace.